I guess in now my part two of my story, for all the few people who actually watched the first one. So I guess now I will talk about how I know, or what did I know of my ex-wife. I know there was a counselor. She once told me. She said that you know, you know who she was when you married her, and to a point I agree, and to a bit more points I disagree, because I really didn't know. I didn't know, even though there were signs. So when I first met my attacker, my abuser, and basically my ex-wife, may have been something that threw me off or threw off the whole situation, but I couldn't tell. There was like an amount of insecurities with her, even though I couldn't quite put my finger on it. I really didn't know until or I didn't notice anything major until a few months after the fact when we started dating. She One night I was showing her pictures on my phone, and just out of the blue, she got up and walked away. We were in her house, and she just got up and walked away. And I thought she was going to do something. She went to the kitchen, and she was back there for a while. And I was like, "What is going on with her?" So then I look back, and she's like back there crying. I'm like, something must happen. She must got a text message or something. So I go back there and I say, "So what's wrong?" And she's like, "I guess I'm just not good for you." And then she just went on a little tangent about that. I'm like, "What the hell is she talking about?" And I kept begging her to tell me, like, "What are you talking about?" And she was like, "I seen this woman's name pop up on your phone." And she seen it. I didn't see it. So I go grab my phone and I go back to her and I say, "All right," because I had nothing to hide. And I was like, "All right, let's check my phone. Let's see what did you see." So I had an email, and yep, there was a woman's name that popped up on my email. And I said, "All right," while I'm showing her my phone, all right, let's look at this email. So we open it up, and it's a woman that's responding to a Craigslist posting because I was trying to sell furniture. And while there was like a part of me that wanted me to kind of like laugh and like make a big joke about it, I just kept calm and just make sure she was okay. But then she tried to joke it off and whatnot. And I'm like, all right. Later on, I would tell someone else that story, and they told me that that's usually the signs of someone who has cheated, and now they're noticing the signs, which I had known. Um, as months go by, um, I think we had another instance where something wasn't right. Like one time, I think we're getting ready to go to bed, go to sleep, and I walked past her and I touched on her knee, or she was like sitting on the edge of the bed. And I walked by and I like tap her on her knee and walk out, and she's like, "I said no." I'm like, "What was that about?" And she had this ghostly look on her face. She's staring at the wall, and I am like, I need to get the hell up out of here. Like, what is wrong with her? Why is she just staring at the wall? Like she can see who she's looking at. And then I walk back towards her and she's like, "I said no." And I'm like, "I didn't do anything. What are you talking about?" And she repeated it a third time. And I'm like, "All right, it's time for me to leave." Once again, we're in her house. So I'm like, "All right, I need to get back home. I need to get out here and get back home." So then when I leave, she asked me to stay. And I'm kind of like, maybe I should be going because this It didn't feel right. That was very strange. Anywho, I think we had a long talk that night, and then that's what she said that she either because the story changed twice. She told me the story twice. She said her first sexual encounter was with, or she was raped by one of her cousins when she was like 14 or 15. Story changed. So I guess whatever I did when I touched her on the knee brought back that memory. Anywho. So several several months to relationship, meet her parents, and after meeting her parents, I think she goes on a trip across to Europe, and she comes back. We meet up. Um, about I guess a month after that, she gets pregnant. That's when she gets pregnant, and then that's when things kind of changed for the worse. Like we had talks of being a family or whatever, having a family, but she just had uh, an iffy thought process. Um, what threw me off is when she calculated her pregnancy, because she was gone nearly the entire month of August in this year, and we were not in physical contact for that month of August. And I knew she got pregnant in September, but when mid-September rolled around, she claimed that she was around 9 months pregnant. 9 weeks pregnant. And now I'm trying to think of the time, like, how can you be 9 weeks pregnant when it was literally 2 weeks ago when we did something that caused this situation? So it kind of made me wonder because there was an instance when she was overseas in Europe where she told me she was going to call me, and then she never called me, and I was like, oh, something must have happened. So whatever. So I sent her a text, and she instantly replied. I was like, oh, so you are up, or whatever. It was night here, broad daylight over there. So I went back to thinking about that. I'm like, well, could she have done something with somebody over there? I don't know. But her timing is way off, in my opinion. Anywho, it was like late October, early November, and I was at her house. She had a maintenance guy come by to do some work, and at this time, I'm thinking she's probably 2 months pregnant, and she made comments that she couldn't get pregnant. She told me that she had never been pregnant and that she couldn't get pregnant. So, oh, the night before the maintenance guy got there is when we had a blow up. Well, I don't know if it was more of a blow up, but I confronted her on some things I suspected, and she told me to leave her house. I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna leave your house. So as I'm getting my things to leave, she had like a 4-story house. So we was on the second floor, and then my belongings were on the third floor. So I go up to get my stuff, and I'm going down the stairs. I go past second floor. I see her, and I think she was on the phone with her sister or something. And I go downstairs, put some stuff in my car, and I come back up, and she's holding a gun, her gun, and she's repeating stuff like, I don't know why men don't like me. I don't know why men don't accept me for who I am. I don't know why this always happened to me. But she's not on the phone. She's just holding the gun and repeating this, and I'm kind of like, where is this going? So I just go back upstairs, get my stuff. And I walk downstairs, and then she points a gun at me. We had been to the shooting range before, and I know for a fact that she couldn't hit nothing. And typically, the average human can't hit anything 7 feet in front of them. So I didn't really have any fear of her actually striking me if she'd pull the trigger. So I looked at her and I just kept on walking. And I was going to leave, and as I was getting in my car, because my car was parked in her garage, and I'm about to leave, I was thinking to myself, well, if she kills herself, it's on camera, because she had a video camera there, a security camera in her living room, and I'm like, this is gonna fall back on me in some form of fashion. Stuff like this always falls on innocent people in some form of fashion. They'll probably say I didn't try to stop her or something. So I go back, and she's still, and now she's holding a gun to herself, gesturing that she's going to kill herself and an unborn child. So I just walk over and just take the gun from her. I didn't run, I didn't rush. I just walked over and took it. Like, that's what she wanted. She wanted somebody to actually care or something. I don't know. So I took the gun, unloaded it. I mean, it was hers. I wasn't gonna take possession of it. I just took it and put it up somewhere really high where she couldn't reach it. And then I was going to leave, and as I was leaving, then she told me to stay. And I was like, don't want to stay again. So I stayed. One of her maintenance guys worked at her job, was coming by to do some painting, and I had agreed to be there to help him out. So she stayed locked up most of the day, and I had bought the guy a bottle of Jose Cuervo, if I'm saying that right, tequila. It's kind of a gesture. People do something, because I don't know if she paid him or not. So I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he likes, some tequila, help him out or whatever. So I brought him the bottle, and I think we may have been, it may have been around noon or 1 in the afternoon, and she finally comes down, and she goes to her kitchen, and I disappear for a moment to go grab something and come back, and she's going back up the stairs, and the guy asks a question. She turns around, and she's holding a full bottle of red wine and the bottle of tequila that I just bought him. And she goes up there and doesn't come back for maybe 4 hours. And we were busy doing the painting pretty much all day long. And she just comes down and says that she was going to go to the store. And I went to the room to see, did she really drink the alcohol? There's no way to prove she drank the alcohol. But the red wine bottle was empty. The glass had red liquid residue in it. And the tequila, it wasn't all gone, but it was half gone. I was like, did she really just drink while pregnant? So as I started looking it up, and I guess in Texas there are no laws against women who drink like that while pregnant. Very few states. I think Pennsylvania, the state she's from, is the only state that actually has a law against that, but not Texas. Texas don't mind if you drink yourself to death to kill a kid, if that's what your intent was. So now my position is I don't know where this relationship is going, but there's a child involved who I'm assuming is mine, and I need to do whatever it is, whatever it takes to know this child, to see this child. I think December that year, the Christmas year, we go to visit her folks up north. Um, I had a job where I had two phones. I had my own phone and I had my work phone. And on my phone, I had an Android, so I just put movies on it so I can watch it. We're at her in-laws' place, and I'm just watching stuff on my phone. She makes a comment like, "So you're talking to your other woman on your other phone?" And I'm like, I just decided to just go to bed at that point. I go to bed. She comes up and follows me, and says, "You came up here to talk to your side chick, so I couldn't hear." I'm like, "You can check this phone if you want to, or whatever." Um, go to her parents' place. Her parents were they're controlling in their own way, and she didn't help situation none either. But something came up where when we got back to Texas, she asked me, "Well, did I run that past her father?" I'm like, "Who is your father to me? When did he become involved in my daily life?" You know, her job as a manager in the medical field, she's used to telling people what to do, and I think that was something that she was used to doing. So she just brought it across to me, and she's used to controlling, very controlling. She even had me thinking like a house that I just bought that I need to like get rid of it because it wasn't good enough for her. Uh, we even looked for a place to move in together to call our own house. And after I basically took her to every subdivision that she wanted to go to, when we got the paperwork to do the actual application, she didn't want to do it. Wanted me to do it, even though she made 4 times more than me. She said she couldn't afford it. So anywho, January the following year, she comes to my house, and oh, prior to her coming to my house, we ended up having a little chat, uh, we talked over the phone, and we were talking about how when the baby is born, that at the hospital they require you to sign a statement of paternity as who's the father, if the father is present, I think, something like that. And I joked, and we were talking back and forth, and I jokingly said, "So I am the father, right?" And I don't know if she jokingly said this or not, but she just said, "I don't know." And I'm like, "What you mean you don't know?" She was like, "I don't know." So she could have been intoxicated when we were talking. I don't know, but it made me wonder, and I didn't know because she did have behavior that it seemed like she was kind of one of those women who got around. So I couldn't tell if she was being faithful or not faithful. There was a time when I was at my house and I'm thinking she's at her house and she told me she was going out to work. The time didn't add up, so I don't know if she actually went to work or if she was somewhere else. But in the following January, she comes to my house and my dad calls me and we're on the phone and she hears something where she thinks she knows what's happening, what we're talking about. And as soon as I got the phone with my dad, she starts trashing my house. She is throwing stuff all over the place. Talking about why did you tell him that and why did you tell him this and why did you sound like that? And I have no clue what was going through her head at that time. She even called my mother and started cussing her out, left a nasty voicemail. All of this I could prove because I had a security camera in a room that actually picked up the entire audio, so everything supports my story, even though the police won't listen. So she's trashing my house, and she's knocking stuff over my kitchen counter. And then it's like she was getting out of control to where she was gonna pass out or something. And I grabbed her by her wrist and I held her down. And I said, "You need to calm down." And she just had this possessed look in her face, in her eyes, or whatever. I was like, "Dang, she looked weird." So I let her go, and then she turns around, she turns her back to me, and she pushes something else off another table, and then she turns around and hits me in the face with her phone. So now I'm like, okay, this is out of control. I gotta call the police. So I make a stupid decision of calling the police and walking outside without my keys. I walk out the house, she closes the door and locks it. The police takes them about 10 minutes to get here, and they go in the house, and the end result is I was the attacker. She, they only gave her the option to press charges. So she destroys my property, hits me in the face with a phone. It's on audio. I can prove it. But the police says, no, you, the man, you the one who did wrong. And she has the option to press charges against you. But she doesn't. Instead, they gave her the option to press charges or not press charges, and she can leave and go back home. And that's what she did. And I come in the house, and she had basically ransacked every other room in the house that she had not touched while I was inside the house. And that's why I feel like domestic violence is stereotyped one-sided. That's not the first instance, or the only instance. So my property is damaged, physically hit. But what do the police say? We can't help you. We can only help the woman. Anywho, I let a month go by where I didn't even communicate with her, and then I started reaching back out because I still knew this child was gonna be born, and well, hopefully it was gonna still be born because I have no idea what she's really gonna do. So I end up getting back in her good graces, trying to be civil, have the child, and then she told me I wouldn't be that she would have her mom there in the delivery room, and then she told me there was gonna be a baby shower about 2 months before the birth. And the last time I saw her before birth, she told me there wasn't going to be a baby shower, and she told me I would be in the delivery room and not her mom. She ended up having a baby shower. I ended up being in the delivery room, even though later on in life I would be accused of being banned from the hospital, and I was never there, even though there are pictures to say otherwise. Anywho, my daughter's born at in May of that year, and a few months later she would move, and they would both move in with me, and that's where things got even more cuckoo, because then I could not living with her, because we lived in two different cities. Not living with her, I didn't get to see everything I probably needed to see to say I knew this person, and now I'm getting to see these things. Now we're on the same roof, and um, don't think any of it was really good. Uh, it's almost like she didn't want a child in the first place. The way she treated my daughter when she was a newborn. There were many times when she would, I will say, throw my daughter at me, but it's kind of like, if you know anything about football, she does like a halfback toss where there is air between my hands and her hands, where she is literally playing hot potato with our daughter. And she would just kind of like just toss her over to me and run off into the whatever, whether it's to a car or to a room and close the door. She just run off. And you hear about postpartum depression. Nah, this wasn't it. This was way beyond that. She did that many times, where she just unexpectedly just throw my child at me and just run off. I'm like, where the hell is she going? At this time, we're not married. We were supposed to be married before the child's birth, but it didn't happen, so we postponed it. So things just got weird, and eventually I suggested counseling, premarital counseling, marriage counseling, whatever you want to call it, counseling, and she was against it. She told me she only does that when she's done with the relationship. Doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I know. So I'm like, well, I'm trying to do things to make this work, find out what's the problem. And I finally get her to cave in to a session. Um, Something that I did not know earlier is that she invited me to a session with her psychiatrist before, um, well, after we knew the baby, after we knew she was pregnant, I think. Except I never asked what she was going to a psychiatrist for. I think it was just like she goes to her to just talk, have somebody to talk to. We never got into any specifics, which I should have asked. So I get her into a premarital counseling or couples counseling session, and she was very apprehensive. She was not willing to be open about anything, and the counselor slash therapist could read her like a book. She knew exactly what was going on. She also said that if she was not willing to take her medications, uh, that counseling wouldn't help. So, out of one session, we come home. Well, we leave the session, we go to the daycare to pick up my daughter, and we come home, and then she disappears. She goes into the garage and disappears, and I couldn't hear the garage door go up or down. And I was like, well, she's been in that car for a minute. And I go to the garage, and her car's gone. I'm like, dang, she just left. And it was a pretty day, so I get my daughter, put her in the stroller. I said, well, I guess we'll just make a block. And in my neighborhood, well, in my section, we have 3 streets, and only 2 streets you can go out of. So I'm on like one of the outer streets. I was like, we'll just walk 2 streets over and come back. So we go to the middle street, and there's a car that resembles her car, but there is a car on that street that lives there. But this car had the headlights on, the daytime running lights. And I'm like, that can't be her. Nah. So me and my daughter, I keep pushing her up to the 3rd street, and I come back, and her car is there. It's still there. Well, that car is still there. I'm like, this can't be her. So I'm like, all right, for its and giggles, let's just walk down this way and just see if we can see who's in this car. And we walk down, and as soon as we get side by side with the car, she rolls the window down. She's smiling, laughing. It's like, hey, y'all, what y'all doing? While holding a bottle of wine. in a car that's running, and she's holding the brake lights on. And I was like, nothing. We going back home. So we walked right back around the corner and got home before she did. And I was like, wow. So she must have a problem or something. And I think it wasn't. It was like the next night when I realized something that I never realized. It was that when I was moving her into my house, she has this wine cabinet that she used in her house. And I remember when I was putting it on a dolly, a whole bunch of bottles just rattled. And I opened up the door, and there may have been like four empty wine bottles in there. Blackstone, I think it was called Blackstone red wine. And like all these subliminal images came to me. I was thinking about like nights when I was at her house and she was pouring these big glasses of cranberry juice. It wasn't cranberry juice. It was wine. She was, I mean, she was drinking maybe two bottles in a night. And two bottles a night is not like the whole night. Two bottles in probably like hour and a half, 2 hours. Like I was thinking about all the times I remember just seeing her get up and go and come back with the glass and come back, and then the bottles that I would see but did not see because I didn't really know or wasn't paying attention. Because she would say, oh, "I don't drink much." Yeah, right. So I think a couple weeks after that little situation, action, incident, whatever, um, I was washing our cars and I was cleaning the inside, and in her console, it was like propped open. It was shiny. So I looked inside. Well, I tried to close it, and it popped open, and it was like two Lime-A-Rita cans in there. It was just empty cans. And I was like, so is she drinking at work, or I don't know, if she's drinking at home? I don't know. But why would they be in the car? And why is there toothpaste and toothbrush in the console too? Very weird. But hey, I didn't chose to put up with this much. Got to keep going. Um, so we're getting close to Thanksgiving, and my family come over, and I think at this time my daughter is 6 or 7 months, or probably 7 months old. And one night I had my parents over, my sister was over with her son, one of my good friends was over with her two kids, and my ex just grabs a bottle of wine or liquor or something and start, you know, walking around asking people like, "Do y'all want some? Do y'all want some?" Man, nothing strange about that to y'all, but it was kind of strange in how she did it. Uh, that's the night that she actually had like a meltdown in front of all my folks and my friend, and she ran into a bathroom and she was saying how my best friend who we were in the military together, she told her like she's the one that she should be with me, and not my ex, despite my best friend, she's married, happily married, and we've never been like that. But my ex was very insecure in almost everything about herself, I think, and she just had a big boohoo. And her parents flew in like the next day, so they was here to meet my parents. And what I didn't find out until almost a year ago during our divorce is that the the day her parents were here, because they was only here for a day. Apparently, I went outside with my dad and her dad, and my ex grabbed a bottle of wine or liquor, one or two, and she started drinking it. Nothing wrong with that. But after she started drinking it, she went to breastfeeding my daughter. And all that alcohol that she consumed while pregnant, all the alcohol that I don't know that she consumed while pregnant, all the alcohol that she consumed post pregnancy and breastfeeding, I, you know, as about a week ago, I believe all that drinking has affected my daughter because my daughter has been behind in learning, and I've always kind of like i I'm not the I know I'm not the one to pick up on academics easy, but she has been far behind in a lot of stuff. And a lady mentioned to me something about some type of syndrome from when women drink a lot when they're pregnant and it passes through to their child and causes some issues. Now I really think that happened to my daughter, where she's been poisoned by all this alcohol. So now she'll suffer by being one of the last to get to the next step. Now she's 6 months behind in daycare. She didn't get to move up with the other class. Uh, Her picking up on things is really slow, and I'm pretty sure the alcohol has something to do with it now. But yeah, so anyway, she was breastfeeding, drinking and breastfeeding part of the day, and her mom didn't say anything. Her mom, she told me her mom was an alcoholic when she was when her mom was younger and when my ex was a kid. Her mom was an alcoholic. So basically, just passed down from one generation to the next. And yeah, so that's that. I don't know if that was an interesting story or not, but my final chapter, or my third chapter, will be me going into an actual full-fledged assault, and I will upload the video or the recording of that assault. The same assault that the state of Texas says, yeah, there's no real assault. So we'll see how that goes.